Right. Thank you for joining for the first episode of Otaku Sentai Geekiranger. Say hi, Royal Rangers.
Ah!
Ranges.
Ah! Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We'll certainly get that down a bit better by next time.
Yes.
I think we have joining us live from Gokai Galleon, we have Sean McAwesome joining our panel. We have also Himitsu Seb, or Geeky Green. And then we also have, last but certainly not least, we have Geeky Redo. So the premise of this podcast is essentially to discuss all things Taku, Sentai-centric most of the time, but we will be also getting around to Kamen Rider. I believe we'll talk a little bit about Garo. Garo?
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
We'll talk a little bit about that at some point as well. And just really... in the comments, leave whatever your favorite Tokusatsu show is, and maybe we'll cover it. So I think the first topic that we should cover is what exactly is Tokusatsu, and what does it mean to all of us? I think I'm going to pass it along to Geeky Redo, and he can get us started.
Yes, thank you. So, Tokusatsu, in general, is a Japanese multiverse. Think of Marvel, but there's no Captain America and stuff like that. There is a Spider-Man. But outside of that, you have heroes that are mostly suited, multicolors. So Geeky Green has a beautiful explanation of that behind him. And these heroes are usually fighting some type of intergalactic scenario that faces impossible odds with numerous amounts of enemies that no group of just 5 random teenagers, kids, adult, whatever the hell it is that happens to be in these suits should be facing alone. But they do, and they win. That's the point. Now, for me, Tokusatsu in general means just like I said earlier, just standing up against immeasurable odds. So there's always going to be that villain or that power or that obstacle. And sometimes it's not even a villain. You know, they have anti-villains in Power Rangers or Sentai where there's a bad guy that, you know, hey, I'm bad because I was taken over by these bad people. And I don't want to be bad, but at the same time, look at that Red Ranger over there. Fuck him. I gotta fight him because he's there and he's all good and shit. I want to be good and shit. Why can't I be good? And these are conflicts that they make you not necessarily fall in love with the villain, but they make you understand. They make you pay attention. And it's not just always, white and black. It's not always, just this is what's happening. Borderline, blah, 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 blah. The stories change. And if you pay a lot of attention, Tokusatsu opens your mind to a lot of different possibilities on top of really cool explosions and giant monsters and megazords or mecha or ridiculous guns and all that kind of stuff. So for me,
Poses.
Yes, and poses. Yes. Ooh, that was ooh. Look, okay, listen. We got to get that down for the next episode. We're gonna do that. Oh yes, we're gonna be in sync with that. But yeah, that's what Tokusatsu means to me. So, Garina.
To piggyback off of one of the things that you said about how the anti-hero sometimes sees the Red Ranger and is like, hey, they have all this good shit going on. I want some of that good shit. Mm-hmm. I think one of my favorite tropes to piggy off of that is when they just are having so much fun fighting the Red that they don't want anybody else to get in their way, and then they'll be a pseudo good guy in certain scenarios and step in no, only I get to fight and defeat the Red Ranger, nobody else.
That's why I fucking love Korag so much. Love Korag.
Korag was so good,
right? I'm sorry. Anyway, who wants the green?
Let's pass it off on to Sean McAwesome.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I always think of miniature sets and spandex.
Ooh.
I mean, that is the most literal meaning for Tokusatsu.
Yes. But I also appreciate the artistic side of it, how well they can actually make miniature Japanese cities, and the way they look, and watching has actually made me notice other things. I played a clip of the Tim Burton Batman to a friend of mine, where the Joker shoots down the Batwing with his giant barreled revolver, and I noticed that they went with miniatures as it crashed, and the miniature work is actually really quite well, especially for the 80s. And so, miniatures, spandex, suits. That's what comes to mind.
All right. So let's move on to Himitsu Seb. You're more new to this whole Tokusatsu world.
Yes.
So give us your impression on what Tokusatsu so far means to you, and basically how you're feeling about all of it.
I mean, basically, it seems like it's targeted as a kids show, more of a family show. But it's definitely one of those. It definitely is more at certain times, especially like Jetman or something more mature. It's not something that patronizes its audience like many of the Western kids shows that avoid any potential source of outrage. Whereas, say I've been watching the original Himitsu Sentai Geekiranger, and it's very of its time in the 70s, very sort of James Bond inspired, and I'm pretty sure there's even a piece of music that sounds very much like the 60s Batman theme.
Yeah.
But like the good guys were all soldiers that were part of the Eagle organization, whose squads were all brutally murdered and wiped out by the Black Cross army, whose leader is a Ku Klux Klan looking dude called the Führer. So already that you'll never get that in the West. So there's definitely that sense of they appreciate their audience, and they don't play them, they don't talk down to them, they include them in the action. And I think one of the things about Super Sentai in itself is it's very much like a live action. You could compare it to, say, having like a live action Justice League or Avengers show every week, and sometimes it'll focus a little more on one character, or it'll focus on the whole team, and it's just really fun to watch. And I think one of the other things I really enjoy is the variations in tone of the shows each season. So on average, each show goes for about 50 episodes, and you might get something like right now you've got Kira Major, which is like a lot of fun and a lot of what I would call sort of anime acting, which is like that very exaggerated expressions and performances, and like people acting like you wouldn't expect people would in Japan normally. But then you've got, say, like I say, Go Ranger being a more serious, more like they're more of a military outfit, and same, and then Jetman as well, being a bunch of different misfits who have to unite together, and you get a much more dramatic story out of it. So I like that no one season is the same as the one that comes before or after it. And then with so many years of it, then you finally get to Go Kaija, and they can then draw from all of that rich history and deliver a really, really kick-ass series.
Oh yes.
Yes. So I love Gokaiger, Gokaiger, whichever however you want to pronounce it. I love it for that reason alone. I mean, it was one of the most ambitious crossovers that you could imagine. And then to further that, they even did an eventual Kamen Rider versus Super Sentai with the superhero wars, I believe, which is so.
I need a second to cry. Oh, continue. Go ahead.
Okay, all right, and we are 100% going to get back to Jetman. That I believe is at least it's a core staple for me, and I know it was also Sean McAwesome's entry into the series as well. It was mine too. Well, on that note, actually, let's go over, the entry, or what got us into Tokusatsu. Like, how did we come across it? Before we do that, real quick, I'm going to quickly do my whole definition of what Tokusatsu means to me. I kind of forgot to do that, but it's perfectly fine. Tokusatsu, what that means to me is very much a piece of what everybody here said. I do believe like the practical effects make it. I believe especially the helmets. Look, I am super obsessed with like really cool looking Super Sentai and Kamen Rider helmets. But this notion of these heroes, fighting for justice, in this pure form, like not like justice doesn't feel abstract when it comes to Super Sentai or Kamen Rider. And I think that's great, and I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. But like whenever they get to like stand up for this brand of justice, no matter the odds or no matter the consequences, it's the best thing ever. Seeing them get knocked down and then standing back up in the name of justice or whatever good ideals that they're fighting for is, I believe, at the core, the soul of Super Sentai and, by extension, of course, Kamen Rider. But going back a bit, let's talk a little bit about what got us into the series initially. I'm going to start with Geekiranger again, and we'll just sort of go back in the same order.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to admit that to get into Sentai series in general, it was Power Rangers originally, right? Because I had to know. When I was little, I didn't matter. I wholeheartedly believed there were American teenagers in those suits the entire time. And then as I got older, I was like, now, okay, Tommy can do some shit, but he can't. Wait a minute. And so they did this one episode of Dino Thunder where they showed the comparison between the American Power Rangers or whatever, English Power Rangers, and then, Sentai. They didn't call it that, but they just, And then you saw, like, the change. Like, they had, what's his name? The baseball guy, Wacky Wilson or whatever like that. And he's like yeah, he's hitting this baseball and this monster who's, like, made of, like, shrimp or something or some type of fast food. He's like, no, he's a monster that gives you money, but he looks like he's shaped like some type of sandwich. I don't remember, but he gives the guy money, and he's like, hey, if you play baseball, and we'll give you lots of money. That's the point. Baseball's about money, and baseball is a big deal in Japan. Huge deal, huge sport. So he learns through the Blue Ranger of Dino Thunder, or whatever they're actually calling them, that, it's not about the money, it's about the love of the sport. You do it because you love it. That's the point. And these are, the core values are smaller in comparison to what the English version is trying to do, which is, the world is about to be destroyed. There's smaller instances of what's right and what's wrong over there, and they made it very comical and whatever. But when I actually watched some Sentai, like I got the computer with the 720p laptop that let me actually go online to Good Drama or whatever website it was at the time and watch like a full series of Go Anger. And then I realized it's not even this cheesy. I think the Western version was looking for something cheesy to put in because it's not even. No, bro, they don't want to talk about the blood coming off the mouth and all of this and first off, when Japanese people, when they have the explosions behind them, then the whole suit dematerializes and there's scratches and they can't walk straight and they're limping or whatever. Then there comes the dramatic music. You got to stand back up as a team. We got to do this as a team. Everybody roll call. Red, green, blue, blah, blah, blah. And then just, and the monster's like, oh shit, okay. You guys are ready. All right, let's do this. And after that, like, Sentai became the cornerstone for me of any, like, I loved Kamen Rider, don't get me wrong, but Sentai became like the teamwork TV show for me. I couldn't even watch basketball anymore. Like, Sentai was the truth, bro. Yo, roll call, red, green, blue, blah, 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 blah. It wasn't even just hey, let's all flip. You know the little thing they do in the English version where they flip and you see what's under them and they all flip into the... No, wasn't even like that. We show up, colors, pose, explosion, fight. That was Sentai for me. That's what got me into it. So I started with Geekiranger, and I kind of went in between different shows. So Maji, Ranger, Shinkenger was the absolute sexiest. Oh, okay. And then Geekiranger is what made me like, I have to stay here. I cannot leave. I have to. So, yeah, that's it for me.
A bit of a follow-up question. What was the time frame between discovering Super Sentai and discovering Kamen Rider? Like, which came first, and
oh no, go ahead. Did what? What was the?
Did one lead to the other?
So the Kamen Rider part happened after, and it was because I wanted to know what else was out there outside of Power Rangers for because here in the West we had Masked Rider, okay, which and then Beetleborgs. And I didn't even know where the hell Beetleborgs came from. Like, I was searching everywhere for that. And so I kind of took this opportunity to learn, like, what was the real origin of these things. When I found Masked Rider, then it was like, oh God. And then it was Kamen Rider. And I'm like, okay, so that still means mask, whatever. But these guys are doing it alone. There's no Megazord. There's just the, I'm going to just pull up on you on this bike and beat you down. Really cool gun. Really cool sword. I have a belt. And it just, I couldn't take it. So yeah, I fell in love with Kamen Rider, but like I said, I feel like you have to watch each one to their characteristic. You want that dope team building, build you in the heart, like, oh man, this is really impactful and inspiring. Then you watch Sentai. But if you want that Lone Ranger, like that outlaw, walk into the crowd of, like, I'm just going to whoop everyone's ass just because, then you watch Kamen Rider. That's the way it feels to me. So.
Thank you for that. That was super insightful, and it makes complete sense. We're going to move on to Sean McAwesome.
Yeah.
And we're going to discuss your origins with the franchise.
Quite like what he said. It was Power Rangers. Being the original demograph, and my mother not liking it because that's how mothers were back in the 90s. So I watched the first season. Then I believe I picked up at Lost Galaxy.
Ooh.
The next time I actually started watching it. And I watched clear until Ninja Storm.
Ooh.
And then kind of tailed off there. And then, it became one of those things like you watch in private when nobody's looking. Because, it's a kid show. And so I moved out of my parents' house and was completely broke and had internet. And then Penguin stopped by and showed me Jetman.
Haha.
Ow! Quit! Penguin showed up and showed me Jedman, and quite like the drug dealer, the first one gets dangled in front of you, and then mentioned, "Hey, you should also check out the current series, Shinkinger." And I went Shinkinger, Go Seeger, Go Kiger, and was immediately hooked.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
First one's free.
Mhm.
Actually, in your case, all of them are free. But okay.
Yar,
I've
matey.
seen.
I am
I've
on a
seen your
pirate
hard
ship.
drive.
Which, by the way, let me go ahead and plug tracker.tv.nihon.com,
Yeah.
where you can download your Sentai from about 2002, 3 onward.
So I'm glad you brought that up because now I have to ask: is there? I'm sorry, I'm a filthy casual. Is there anywhere to even watch like all the Sentai and Tokusatsu like on a paid service?
There's not
No.
there's not a whole.
Is there a Crunchyroll of Tokusatsu?
There's Shout Factory. I don't know if it's specifically Tokusatsu or if it's just generally through Shout Factory, but I think whatever they've covered in their DVD releases, you can stream through their website, as long as you're at least in the US region. Because I've had to, being in Australia, I've had to use a VPN to be able to pretend I'm in the US to be able to access it. But I think they've got everything from Jetman through to it's either Time Ranger or Hurricaneager.
Hurricaneager? Yeah.
I know they have
Hurricaneager.
So and you can also I don't know if they're still in print, but you can also pick up the those on DVD from Shout Factory as well. Those series. I think things are a bit on hold while the Hasbro deal's still working out, and who knows if the rumors of Hasbro and Toei cutting ties, it could open things up enough for more Super Sentai to get brought onto DVD with fewer rights issues getting in the way.
And that is something we're going to discuss. I'm not sure if we'll get to it tonight, but we will certainly be discussing the potential future of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider due to the developments that we've heard about. But we'll get to that in due time. So I think since we're on you, Himitsu said, why don't you go over your origin story with Super Sentai? I wonder what it could be.
It starts off the same way for most people, though. That being said, I wasn't born till 95, so Power Rangers was already about 2 years in by the time I came about. And being in Australia, we probably also had a delay between how the series actually starting down here. That's something I should look into. But I have vague memories of Power Rangers when I was about 4 or 5, and I remember a friend had I'm pretty sure it was the original Mighty Morphing Megazord, which was awesome, and I was always very jealous of it, and would love to track one down for myself one day. But yeah, so I had vague memories of that, and I'm pretty sure I had to wake up really early on a Saturday morning to be able to watch it, and that's always a challenge when you're an adult, let alone when you're a kid. But yeah, so it was always sort of there, but it was never a huge part of my childhood, but definitely something memorable. But it was getting to know Penguin Ranger that she reignited my interest and then eventual love of Power Rangers, which I was able to watch a bit through Netflix, and I got all the Mighty Morphing DVDs and the two of the movies, which Mighty Morphing Power Rangers was actually filmed down in Sydney. I'm in Melbourne, so not quite there, but close enough. But then after a bit of Power Rangers, then Penguin brought me into the fold of Super Sentai with, of course, Jetman.
Yeah.
But that being said, once I found out the DVDs did exist, I did buy Jetman and Zyuranger on DVD, which I've not yet gotten to, but I have watched all of Akiba Ranger, the unofficial Sentai, which is much easier to digest with only 2 seasons of 13 episodes each. And I think with a more developing storyline as well, it's probably, if you're trying to figure out if Sentai is for you, as someone still relatively new to it, definitely check out Akiba Ranger and Akiba Ranger Sue. That, as I said, two seasons of 13 episodes each, really easy to get through, and you get a lot of little glimpses of Sentai history, which if you like researching as much as I do, it's fun to follow those leads and see where it takes you. Otherwise, I've gone back to the very start, all the way back to 1975, and started watching Go Ranger from the start. And my plan is, over the many years, is to get through each of the Sentai series, and you can tell where I'm up to based on what my background image is going to be. So one day, in probably a few years' time, it'll become Jack Hugh, and we'll go from there. But yeah, no, it's love getting to it, and through Sentai that did lead into Kamen Rider. And like I said about the research and things, it's when I found out about Shotaro Ishinomori, who was the designer and creator of Kamen Rider, and then eventually Super Sentai, and pretty much he's the grandfather of Tokusatsu on television, especially the superhero format.
I have a follow-up question for both you and Sean. Now, you've explained how you got into it, but what specifically really jumped out to both of you that Super Sentai offered that Power Rangers didn't quite provide?
Gravitas, stakes, there was a sense of failure having consequences. Sure, in Power Rangers there was a bit of that, like Tommy and the Green Candle losing his powers, but then he becomes the White Ranger and he's become several Rangers since, so it's sort of, even that took away from the fact that once you lose your current Ranger powers, it's not impossible for you to come back. Whereas in, say, Zyuranger, when Green Ranger dies, Green Ranger is dead. So that's just next. Yeah, the fact that there's something to fight for, there's something at stake is definitely much more engaging. And also, like I said, with the gravitas and everything, and earlier when I said it doesn't patronize to its audience, it definitely feels more real.
And before we get to you, Sean, just real quick, I just want to make it very clear, we're not bashing Power Rangers at all. They both have their place in the world. We're not here to shit on one over the other. We clearly all have our preferences here. I prefer Super Sentai. I think everybody else probably here agrees too, but we are not by any means, shitting on Power Rangers. That said, Sean, what was so fucking shitty about Power Rangers? I'm kidding. What stuck out to you?
I'll answer.
Tell your truth.
Power Rangers is made for 9-year-old boys. Super Sentai is made for 9-year-old boys to watch with their family. The original demographic is now around 54 years old. And it is something that you pass down to your kids and now to your grandkids. And so they keep the interest for the primary demographic, the 9-year-old boy who wants to buy toys. But they also include things to entertain and interest the rest of the family. That's why there was the love triangle in Jetman. That's why in the first episode of Ryu Soldier, when they tell him to erase her memory, he holds up a sledgehammer that says memory eraser. There's things for the kids, but there's also things included and themes included for the adults.
100%.
So very, very well put. Power Rangers is for, you said, 8-year-old boys, and Super Sentai is for 8-year-old boys and girls, by the way, and to watch with their family. That I love how you phrase that. I agree 100%. Speaking of the, I believe he was called Barai. Was it Barai in Geekiranger for the dragon? I think he's Dragon Ranger, right? Not
Dragon
Green
Ranger,
Ranger.
yeah.
So we're gonna get to that here in a second. I'm gonna go down this path of how I fell into this entire crazy and colorful world of mine. So when I was a kid, I didn't really have cable. I didn't have a lot of places to watch things. I had I think the 2 channels that we had that had like cartoons was the WB channel and Fox
Kids.
TV. Yeah, Fox Kids.
Yep.
Oh, the Fox Box.
Yes,
Yeah,
the Fox
Fox
Box.
Box.
Yes.
So Power Rangers was like one of the only accessible kids shows that I had to watch. But it wasn't just that. Like, these, first of all, like, the suits and the helmets really drew me in. I don't know what it is about my dumb reptile brain, but I absolutely fucking loved the, oh goodness. Sorry, that's just our resident ghost. The air pressure changes and slams the door. Perfectly fine. But I lost my train of thought. So
you don't know what it is about your reptile brain?
I don't listen. I get to say that. No. The helmets were always the thing that stuck out to me. Like, I thought that they were so cool, and like I wanted one. I wanted a Power Ranger helmet for my birthday, and I didn't realize how expensive they were at the time. So never got one, but probably one of the most. I'm rambling at this point about Power Ranger helmets. I thought that they were great. Long story short. And then I liked the characters. I liked the show. My first favorite character was the Black Ranger. I thought that he was super cool. I thought that his costume was the coolest. His helmet was the coolest. And then along came Tommy.
Sweet dance moves.
No doubt. That's actually why I liked Eddie Gordo in Tekken.
Yeah, in Tekken,
because he reminded me of Zach.
Yeah.
But I got into it. I watched probably up until Space, and I skipped Turbo. Well, the first half of Turbo. I watched. I watched once Jason got the Gold Ranger.
Woo, Zeo.
Yeah, which I wish, I honestly wish that Skull was the one, but never change it. Because they like dangled it over there, like, oh, Skull. But I watched Zeo. Wait, that wasn't part of Turbo. Man, my brain today. I watched Zeo. I skipped the first half of Turbo. I didn't get to see the passing of the torch. I just saw the new characters. And
you never saw the Turbo movie?
No, I wasn't allowed to. Because like it was like I wasn't like basically it was too scantily clad and it was a bad influence, and that's why I wasn't allowed to watch it because of the cover, because of the
yeah, I get you, yeah,
you know, pirate bitch
Diva Tox, yeah,
yeah. And I got back into it at the very end when like the command center got destroyed, when the Zords got stolen and they went into space, and I loved the space suits. I thought that they were so cool. And the set was amazing. Like the spaceship and the Zord was super cool.
Can I jump in real fast, because
sure
with the space was so awesome to me, because I don't know if you guys have ever seen this anime called Gurren Lagann, but the entire combination sequence of space was so incredible. Do you realize they're the only Megazord that got shot at while they're coming together. The monsters. What's her name? Oh my god.
Oh my
Astronomer. Astronomer. So fire the saddle lasers, and they're like pew 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 at the Megazord, and the song is going on in the background. Fly Power Ranger, win Power Ranger, and they're making the Megazord, and it's coming together, bringing out the sword that the swords always come from outer space. I don't even know where the fuck these swords be flying around Earth. I have no idea. And it's just the dopest thing I've ever seen. The first outer space Megazord, and all of your battleships can't take it down. That was the cool. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
No. I completely rambled there for a bit. I watched Space. I watched Lost Galaxy. I thought it was so cool, and my brain misremembered a little bit, I think, because for the longest time, like, my dumb kid brain thought that the sword and the stone trope meant that, like, the swords themselves were the morphers. And it wasn't until I rewatched it where that got fixed. But right. I loved the idea of that. It was so fantasy. It was so, like, just, you can't get more fantasy than Sword of the Stone.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Well, I watched Lost Galaxy, and then I just sort of kind of pulled back. I got older. It's not that I never disliked it. It's like a toy that you had, and you put it down somewhere, and for a while it just sort of collects dust, and you completely, like, forget about it.
Hell yeah.
It wasn't until, like, there was a really bad, like, it was a really bad breakup that I had later in life, and I was not in a really great place, and I just sort of, my mind, remembered that toy that I left on that shelf, and, like, the joy that it brought. And I picked it back up. I watched more Power Rangers. I watched at the time, I think it was Power Rangers RPM.
Ooh.
Which was
excellent.
Amazing.
Excellent,
yeah.
Yes.
And I remember coming across this website. And I think I told you about this, Sean, at one point. It was this really, like, 90s, like, looking website, like those old school looking ones, like, really poorly animated, Java run.
Damn.
And it was about Super Sentai Geekiranger, and how basically the Green Ranger never lost their powers in the show, but they died and they went to hell. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Can you run that by me again? And obviously they meant Hades. Like, it wasn't like the Judeo-Christian version of hell, but it's still super funny to think, like, there was a great sacrifice too, like that they made. And I looked more into it, and I'm like, oh, wow, this is really cool. I couldn't find at the time how to watch Geekiranger, but I fell on Jetman. And I fell on Jetman because, like, I saw, like, I'm super obsessed. Penguins were my favorite animals. And I thought for the longest time, before I actually started Jetman, that the Black Condor was the penguin of the team. And so I really wanted to watch it. I'm like, oh, these look so cool. And it was not what I expected. It was like watching, like, an episode of like Nightmare on Elm Street. Like, it was so dark. Like, the episode that comes to mind is of this, like, I guess this sink came to life by the main bad guy brought this, like, random sink to life, and this guy just gets up. They walk over to the sink, and, like, the garbage disposal, like, the hose, like, comes out of it and, like, pulls them in, and just starts a blending, I guess. And it was just like, what did I just watch? And I continued, and it had a lot of gravitas to it, and I really enjoyed it. And like it knew how to take itself seriously, but it also knew how to have fun. Because there's also like one of the monsters of the week was like a literal talking cup of ramen. And that was fantastic as well. And then yep, that's the one. You don't really see a lot of girls cosplaying Black Condor, and that bums me out. Regardless, oh, my beanie came off. Regardless, I really, dug into Super Sentai at that point. For the longest time, I like stuck my nose up at Kamen Rider because at first I had this thing with helmets. If they don't look cool, I can't do it. I can't like that. Look, cool is obviously subjective, but for the longest time, it's like they're wearing bug helmets.
Yeah.
I don't. But the aesthetic really grew on me, and I love Kamen Rider now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sort of having the same thing happen with Garo, because like I don't like just straightforward animal helmets. Like I like animal motifs in the helmets, but I don't like they're just wearing like a wolf helmet. Like that doesn't do it for me, I guess. But I have watched some of the anime adaptation of Garo, and it's pretty great.
See this face right here? If you've seen that episode of SpongeBob where they're like, "You like Krabby Patties, don't you, Squidward?"
Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it honestly wasn't bad. I'm starting to come around for Garo, so please don't at me.
No, take your time. I'm happy that you...
No, right.
That's awesome.
No,
but...
I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the audience.
Oh yeah. We don't know how they're going to react.
Right. But that is my long-winded, I guess, story of how I came into, Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. But I think we spent enough time on that topic.
Origin stories.
Right. Geekiranger. Let's do a little something different. What is something that you would like to talk about that is Tokusatsu related? It can be Super Sentai, it can be Kamen Rider, as long as you interweave it into, the theme of Super Sentai, it's perfectly fine. Let's start with you, and we'll make our way around.
100%. So I'm gonna jump in from where we left off just a moment ago with the Space Megazord, okay? Because I just look, man. Here's the thing. I am all about giant battleships. I'm all about sword fights. I'm all about martial arts in general. I love martial arts. I want to say something also because you were brave enough to admit to everyone how much of a casual you were for the reasons for why you like Power Rangers and what you thought they were with the swords and stuff like that. I'm going to let everyone in the audience on a little secret that makes me an even worse filthy casual than you. Here we go. When I first saw Power Rangers when I was a little kid, I absolutely 150% thought it was martial arts Voltron. Fam, let's okay, exactly. Let's really think about this here. Helmets, lions, jump in the damn robot, fight. Now, the difference between the Voltron is that they were rarely outside the robot. You know what I mean? Like when you jump into the mech, when you jump into Voltron, it's on. Right. So I'm sitting here, and now I'm seeing the actual costumes that, like you said, the helmets and costumes were badass. Look way better than the Voltron helmets because you can see their eyes and shit. This team here, visors, the red, and you know, American Western TV knows how to sell a commercial. Promos, they just right. You get the song, and everyone's just like, I'm like, oh my god, what's happening? Why is Voltron so cool? I don't get it. And when I finally get to space, and I have watched like 6 seasons of Power Rangers, we get Mighty Morphin, we get the Alien, we get the Zeo, we get the Turbo. When they get to space it was just such a bigger deal to me because number one, I was in grade school and we actually had an Earth space science class. So talking about space, I'm watching this thinking it's gonna teach me something about space. It didn't teach me shit, but at least learning to wear a helmet in space or whatever, wear a spacesuit. Space was the first time for me that I was really hype about Power Rangers. Everyone's like, Derek, why aren't you? Because you gotta understand, I'm black. Okay, so in black culture, black people like to do this thing where they're like, yeah, represent the Red Ranger being a black dude. I'm like, okay, that's cool, whatever. TJ, congratulations. I didn't care. Andros was the dopest Red Ranger to me because this guy has the cloak on. Has he's all hidden and stuff like that. Oh, we want to team up with you, Andros. You're such a good guy. We want to be on your team. You're such a great person. No, I work alone. I don't do all that nonsense. I gotta go save. And the whole story they had starting off, that's what was so cool about it. The story starting off with Space is that he has to go save Zordon. They're leading off from where they left off in Turbo. The other Rangers are over here in Turbo. They're in a rocket ship that's going to space. No spacesuits or nothing, but we just going up there. And Zordon's over here as like a trophy thing at the villain's dinner with Rita Repulsa and every other bad guy there and stuff like that. Red Ranger jumps in the damn dinner table, stands on the table like, what's good? Nobody even knows who he is. Everyone's, oh my god, it's a Ranger. Everyone get him, destroy him. And he's still whooping everybody's ass by himself. He's just... Dude, Space was the one for me. And when I got... Now, here's what makes me upset. I have not seen the Space version of Sentai yet. I'm saving that for 2021 because 2020 is such a doo-doo year. So I want to bring in something sexy with like something childhood-ish, but something I haven't seen before. So I want to watch the Space version of the Sentai. I think that's gonna blow my mind. Kamen Rider right now for me is technically bigger to me than Sentai when it comes to certain writers. Saber is not the one for me right now. I feel like Saber is just trying to be a Ranger.
And I have a theory about that too.
Yeah, go ahead.
Talk about later. Okay. So with this new deal that is lack of a deal really.
Mm-hmm.
Since Toei and I believe it is it what is the new company? I think it was Hasbro.
Yep.
Thank you. My brain isn't working today. The Toei and Hasbro are no longer going to be working with each other. I don't know what that means for the future of Super Sentai, but I do believe that Super Sentai and Power Rangers kind of need each other. Super Sentai is probably going to be fine for a while, but I do feel like they do have a very important relationship with each other. And once you sever that, my concern is that, it's like separating a conjoined twin, and you're not doing it right. Both sides might not make it.
Yeah.
I apologize if that is an insensitive analogy, but my concern is that they have brought in, I believe, the showrunner of Super Sentai, for this new Kamen Riders season. And so, Seb, you can 100% correct me if I'm wrong there.
I think the director of this current Saber, I think he's done previous Sentai seasons. I think he might have done Go Busters.
Oh,
okay, so it's not the showrunner; it's the director.
Director, yeah. So I'm not sure how the showrunner and things work. Like in the US, the showrunner is usually the head writer. Whereas in Japan, I don't know if anyone who's watching does have a better idea of the hierarchy of Japanese TV. Definitely feel free to let us know. But
regardless, like it feels like Kamen Rider is starting to take the place of Super Sentai.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Because like they're just doing all of like the Super Sentai tropes. Now, Kamen Rider has had dancing, credits before, but it's been a while since they've done that. And I mean, it feels like they're real, like the atmosphere and the writing tone, and even the way that like they're technically like filming and staging the shots feel very, very Super Sentai akin. And I'm afraid what's going on is that, I mean, they might eventually only have enough money to do one of those shows. They might have to stop one of them. And my concern is that maybe they're trying to take everything that, Kamen Rider had, or that Super Sentai has, and make Kamen Rider be that.
Yo, check it out. Here's why you're absolutely right. Here is exactly why you're absolutely right. Perfect example. Saber, Kamen Rider Saber, red dude, Saber, the Sword of Fire, Sword of Flames, right? His teammate, he has a teammate. First off, Kamen Riders are usually Lone Rangers. There are other Kamen Riders that will show up in the series. 9 times out of 10, they fight. They don't really bloody like that. Oh, you're a Kamen Rider? Hey, me too. Wait a minute. No, that's not right. I got to kick your ass. Like, that's usually how this goes. You may get one sidekick or something, but for the most part, right now, for Kamen Rider Saber, Saber of Flames, now he has a teammate, Saber of Water, so he's blue. Then you got red, you got blue. Now there's a Saber of Thunder, so he's gold with the little lamp thing I was showing everyone. He's got the Thunder. Now there's a green one. And there's a pink one they just announced 2 episodes ago. There is literally a team of Kamen Rider swordsmen literally the colors I'm looking at behind Geki Green right now. Literally, that is exactly what it is in this Kamen Rider season. It's terrifying. I agree with you. If that's the case and that's where they're going, I do not want them to do that. I understand. I mean, there, boom, my man, on top of it. Thank you. What is? But yeah, like, I don't understand why Japan if they're running out of money, that's one thing. But see, here's the thing: if you're running out of money for something, there are other ways to do this. Like Japan, first off, if you're cutting ties with Saban or Hasbro, whoever it may be, there's a whole Western audience that wants to watch this stuff. That's why I was asking you guys, like, why isn't this on some type of a digital network, a Netflix or something, where you can stream it? People would pay to have these kinds of things. Sentai is popular as fuck. I don't...
I feel like the time for Super Sentai is really starting to be at hand, at least for past Sentai, because like it's more accessible now. Like even if there isn't actual services, there are still ways to watch these shows, and that combined with nostalgia and like, oh, you mean like Power Rangers was based off of this show, and that curiosity that comes with it, I feel like we are sort of primed for a service that would be able to meet those needs. And I think Shout Factory is definitely in the ballpark there to do that. But like, I don't mean to like be, all doom and gloom. It's perfectly within the realm of possibility that Super Sentai is fine, and that Kamen Rider is just trying something different.
I hope so.
There's just too many things that feel like they are lining up.
Yeah.
The cut ties with Toei Studios, and the new direction that Power Rangers is going to go. Now, this is the part where I hold your hand, and I want you to really listen to what I'm saying here. I think we should give this a chance. We have been complaining for years how Power Rangers is stale and how it just doesn't hit anymore, because we want the show to grow up with us, and Power Rangers is forever a show for 8-year-old boys, like Sean
Yeah.
said. But this new direction might just do that. It might help Power Rangers grow up with the rest of its audience. I don't see why it wouldn't. You don't have to like have nudity or have like copious amounts of blood or gore to really give real stakes and gravitas to a show.
Right.
And I honestly, the thing that I'm worried about the most is just like, oh, what are the Americans going to do with these suits? What are they going to do with those helmets? Are they going to like? Are they going to be
man.
like? Can you see their faces in the helmets? Because I'll be pissed.
Okay, how about Seb? Did you see the movie? Did you
Yeah. The new one?
the current Power Rangers? Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen that.
I thought so. Here's the thing. I thought the alien suits were badass. I'm asking you first because you're not from here. I don't know how Australia took it. That's why I wanted to get like a full perspective. I'm gonna say what I felt about it first. And I'm gonna bounce off of you with this
definitely.
one. I'm gonna say this. I thought the suits were sick, but here's the problem. They spend so much time in that movie training these Rangers up, and you gotta learn martial arts first. We can't just slap a suit on you. And I was okay with that. I was like, cool, that makes sense. And then they get the suits. Their action scenes outside of the suits are for like maybe 6 minutes. And then you jump straight into the Megazord that just looks dumb as shit. The Megazord did not do it for me, bro. The Megazord was throw that in the trash, bro. And I'm mad that they brought Tommy and Kimberly there to like, hey, we're here. We're just letting you know we support this film. And I'm like, hey, man, this isn't
They were
it.
trying to do a Stan Lee cameo.
Yeah.
They were trying to do like a Stan Lee cameo, and I felt like it fell flat.
Oh, man. Seb, what did you feel about it, Seb? Like, what did it do to you, man?
I mean, overall, I will just say Goldar. That was not.
Oh, yeah, no.
That was just a big lump of gold masquerading as Goldar. So we'll get that out of the way. But yeah, I mean, as far as I could tell from other people who'd seen it, they weren't overly disappointed, but they weren't also overly thrilled either. Like, it's one of these really annoying tropes that's come into a lot of superhero cinema, which is this whole idea of you've got to earn it. Like, we've got to see the characters earn the powers, and I think that's not necessarily. I'd say I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, and I do know that they do find ways to transform and do some suit fighting before they get to like the real unified moment. But I think from the get go they should have had full access to the suits and access to I'd say not all, but like most of their powers. But like say it's not until they can work together as a team that they can unlock their character weapons. So the sword, the axe, the daggers, and like all that sort of stuff. Like and the Zords, like the Zords, they shouldn't have been able to combine the Megazord until they could all work together as a team.
Thank you.
It shouldn't have been a question of them being able to have the power, because that's just been done to death so many times. What we don't have a lot of I mean, that's changed thanks to Marvel, but like the whole idea of them coming together as a team, that should have been the focus of the movie, it was, but it got combined with them earning those powers at the same time. Like, they should have had access to some of the powers, and then through teamwork access everything else. I mean, there's also the other thing where they've sort of made most of the characters pretty selfish, which I guess is reflective of today's youth. I'd say they definitely carry the idea of teenagers with attitude more so than the original Mighty Morphin Team. But maybe it was just a little too much attitude.
Just a little. Just a little.
If I could add something here, like I didn't mind the Breakfast Club feel. Like that was fine. But I feel like the pitfalls keep there's only been a movie twice. I mean, they've only made a Power Rangers movie like a blockbuster Power Rangers movie like 2 times. And I feel like there aren't enough Power Rangers in the Power Ranger movies.
Yeah.
Like, they're not there long enough. It's almost like they're embarrassed of their property. Like, look at this really cool story. Look at these really cool characters and all this stuff. And, you know, they'll also have colorful, you know, spandex suits. And, you know, don't worry about it. It won't last too long. And if that's the way they're going about it, which may not be the most fair indictment, but if that is what they're thinking, then I believe that's the sole purpose for their failures. I liked the Power Ranger movie, the new one, to an extent. When I first saw the Power Ranger suits and the helmets, I was like, okay, good enough. Fine, close enough. I wasn't super crazy about them, but they didn't do that whole like half helmet sort of thing where you can see their mouth, and they didn't like try to show you their face. The Zord was absolute trash.
God.
It
man.
lacked any personality.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether or not they had to do that because of like maybe legal or right issues.
Right.
But they just completely fucked that up. And
God, it was ugly.
I wasn't okay with that. I wasn't okay with Goldar, of course.
No.
But like the concept art that you can come across, the suit, there's some really good concept art that was released after the fact. And I really wish that they would have like gone with some of that concept art. The concept art and like included a little bit more of the individual animal motifs into the helmets and also into the Zords as well. But, you know, it just sort of, I don't know what happened. I just hope that they don't make this mistake again with this new series, whatever it's going to be. I'm sure substance wise, can't speak. It'll be fine. I'm sure like it'll be something new, something that we've never seen before. That's what they're saying. I just hope that they don't forget what a Power Ranger is.
Amen. Yes.
That said, Sean, it's your turn.
Preach.
I'm going to be completely honest here and mention I have absolutely no idea what's going on. You asked a question a long time ago, and I was changing my background.
So basically, just no, that's fine. Basically, anything on your mind, Sentai, Ranger related, Tokusatsu, at this point, like.
Okay. First, let me say that something I did appreciate about the 2017 Power Rangers movie, and it has to do with Goldar, is that the town, Angel Grove, its main source of income was a gold mine. And the jewelry that is made there. And the reason that they have a gold mine is because they killed Goldar 66 million years ago in Angel Grove.
I never thought of that.
That's wild.
And that is why Goldar comes back when she summons him in Angel Grove.
That was dope. I didn't even think of that. That was actually impressive.
You know, it's something I appreciate. Now, whatever question you just reiterated, something about...
Basically, like, if you want to talk about the movie, you can talk about the movie some more. If you want to talk about the future of Super Sentai, we'll certainly like be dedicating, I believe, a full episode to that in the future. But if you want to talk about that, you can. Mainly, we're just going around and we're discussing basically whatever tokusatsu thing that you want that sort of still brings in Super Sentai. Like, for example, what do you think Super Sentai like influenced, or what do you think influenced Super Sentai? There's certainly a lot of Marvel that goes into that, and I know you and Seb are both Marvel guys. So, if you guys want to talk about that, that could be a very good next session, or next question rather. Sorry.
see here. What do I want? I would like. Well, I would say a little bit more foreigner inclusion in Super Sentai. However, I just started Lupin Ranger versus Pat Ranger.
Ooh, yeah, ooh.
Lupin Ranger, and the first episode where the cops are starting their thing, their boss walks in, and it's a black guy.
Yep.
And the giant smile that landed on my face by seeing this gaijin walk in and speaking perfect Japanese. I loved it so much.
It was brilliant. It was brilliant. Absolutely.
Yeah, it certainly, it does certainly feel like Super Sentai is making an attempt to be a little bit more inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like it feels like there's a lot more girl power episodes. It feels like that they're treating I don't know behind the scenes what the situation, but it seems like in the show narratively they're treating the women a lot better. I remember some of the old seasons, even not so far back as like even with Gokaiger, like sometimes they really rough up those girls. Like,
oh man,
it's pretty crazy. But like, what's not the important thing isn't whether or not they rough up the girls. The important thing is how do the girls respond? Are they like going to be a damsel in distress, or are they actually going to show that they have just as much of a place in the team as the guys do? Mm-hmm. And I love the girl power episodes, and I love it when they like stand up and they have these great episodes where they're like, you shouldn't mess with us either.
Yep.
So I like that. Diversity does seem like it's getting there. I mean, it's not where I would like it to be, obviously, and we could talk about some of the problematic things that Japan is known for, but I mean, you point one finger at Japan and you got like the entire world pointing fingers right back at you. So it's not really our place right now. We should be focusing honestly on the issues that we are trying to overcome and that we are trying to get through. Yeah. But that said, I mean, obviously they could do a lot better.
To your point, though, Gokai Yellow is the most absolute badass
favorite.
Yeah, she don't take shit from nobody. I love her. I love her. And Deca Yellow,
On that topic, I would like to mention in Shinkinger's Yellow.
Yeah.
That is basically her whole story arc, is that she wasn't supposed to be on the team. It was supposed to be her older sister.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole story is that she earns her spot, basically. I need to stop clicking different windows. All right.
Yeah, no, that's a solid point. That's a solid point. I've always noticed that when it comes to this, and this is why, like I say all the time, I always appreciate the Rangers more, a little bit more than Kamen Rider, for a team building aspect. These people are so, like you said, they get roughed up, right? But we're not talking about just like any roughed up. These are people that are slap, the back flipping, the whole hit the ground hella hard, and like even some of these bad guys backhand these Rangers, like they like full neck twist, hit the floor, dirt, like that kind of thing. But the get back up moment is so inspiring. You forget it's a kid's show. You're like, oh God, they're not giving up. They're rallying together. Yeah, man. And the ladies, the only thing I don't like about what they do with the women is they try to combine their badass moments. They'll make Pink and Yellow do it at the same time, and I'm like, why do they have to be? Why does girl power have to be? All the girls are like, you like the one Pink or Yellow can't do it by herself or whatever. That sometimes it irritates me.
You could even argue that like I guess you could even argue that like having like because you don't have like a guy power thing, you just have these male characters having these amazing moments.
Mm-hmm.
Like it should be no different, honestly. They're you know each woman contributes something to the team, and
Mm-hmm.
it would be great to see that. I feel that oh goodness, my mind's going blank. Sean, which of the good lord, I can't think of the name, but it's the newer space one.
Q-Ranger.
Geekiranger. I feel like they do a better job in that,
Oh yeah.
especially with Yellow's very Gokai Yellow sort of a
Mm-hmm.
thing going on with her. Um, I won't get into spoiler territory, but I like what they do with her character. It's near the end of the show. And I like what they do with her in the movie. I don't remember exactly which one it was. I think it was like a Kamen Rider crossover, though. No, it was the Metal Heroes crossover.
Oh yeah. Yeah, with
But I like what they do with her character there too. It's great. Um, but yeah, obviously there's room for improvement. I would love to see more of these girls get like the spotlight, and they certainly deserve it. That said, I think we've discussed this topic as much as we could. Let's move on because for a brief moment, I thought of another good topic, and I sort of passed it to Sean and Seb, but let's just make it an official topic. Let's talk about the influences that Super Sentai has had and outside influences that have had on it. Specifically, I would love to talk about how Stan Lee is pretty much responsible for
yep.
What Super Sentai is today.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Lee, Dan Lee be with you.
Stan Lee be with you. Excelsior. I'm going to go out of order this time because I know Sean McAwesome. I know you have probably a lot to say about this topic.
I have been a Spider-Man fan since, a wee child. And to my surprise, there was a Japanese Spider-Man series, which was made by Toei and Marvel. And it is actually where the giant mecha part of Super Sentai came from. They they gave Spider-Man a giant robot named Leopardon, and he was the emissary of hell.
Oh damn!
Also drove dirt bikes, and yeah, and so from there, they had Go Ranger and was it Battlefield or Jack? Jack. And then they made the Spider-Man series, and then they're like, oh, people really responded to the giant robot, and then they just meshed it together. And you got Battle Fever J of the international fighters and a giant robot.
100%.
Yeah, and I don't know if you said this. I'm sorry, I kind of spaced for just a moment, but wasn't that supposed to be like an Avengers cross like an Avengers project, and then it just didn't pan out or something?
I believe that Marvel still has some rights associated to Battle Fever J. Battle Fever. I have a computer.
That's right.
Anyway.
And to that extent, isn't Ultraman now in Marvel?
It is.
In the comics, yeah.
The comic books have just done a new 5-part mini.
And of course, Spider-Man, the Japanese version, obviously, made a pretty hefty appearance. I mean, I wish it was bigger, but pretty fair appearance in the Spider-Verse series of comics, and that was really cool. didn't like how Leopardon got sort of one-shotted. Thought that was kind of, but I mean, I guess he got a taste of his own medicine, so.
Yep.
But yeah, there's certainly been, I believe, like a lot of influence, not just with Marvel, but just so many different like fairy tales, of course, like Peter Pan has like a Peter Pan. They don't flat out say Peter Pan in the new Kamen Rider show, but they have a Peter Pan book that gives certain powers. So like, I like it when you get all this lore from all across the world, and you have this hodgepodge and you make something really cool of it, and then you add a little bit of Tokusatsu to it. It's great. I love it every time. I want more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I believe that. Oh goodness. Going back a bit to Spider-Man again, I believe they had a crossover with Kamen Riders Stronger.
Oh.
Has anybody ever found the episode of that? Because I've seen pictures of it, but I've never seen the episode.
The only thing I can see as far as Spider-Man and Kamen Rider is that they did make a... currently, the Miles Morales video game that just released not too long ago, there is a Miles Morales Kamen Rider. Like, literally, the suit is a bug head. Like, it even has the original Kamen Riders with the, their collars popped up type of jacket thing or whatever. That's the only tie-in I've seen. I didn't know they even had an episode together like that.
Keeping with the game theme, and keeping with the game thing and borrowing elements, there is this game. It's an old game. It's called Wild Arms 2.
Woo!
There was even a cross promotion, I believe, with Kamen Rider in Wild Arms 2, because there is a character. I believe it's called Night Blazer.
Mm-hmm.
One of the main characters gets the power to henshin.
Oh God!
And it is just. I am so surprised that more JRPGs haven't done this. I know like White Knight Chronicles has something like this, but there should be way more. I want a Tokusatsu JRPG, and I want a create a character mode. I want to create a team mode. I want all of it. Make it happen, Toei. If you don't make it, it was V3.
Nice. V3. That's sick. That's sick.
Yeah. I gotta find, like, was that just like a promotional image, or?
I never made it that far. I just found the picture and decided to pass it on. By the way, I really hate the Kamen Rider suit for this series.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of V3 like that either. I really liked the movie version they did of the original Kamen Rider. Those were really good, but yeah, later when they have the extra scarf thing going on, I don't know about all that, but
yeah. Does anybody have any topics that they want to get to, that they want to discuss, or do we want to wrap it up here?
I'm going to say one more. Oh, no, Seb, hit it, Seb.
No worries. I was going to say, because we have talked a bit about the future of Super Sentai and such, and where do we think it's going, I will say that the immediate future of Super Sentai is safe. We are getting a 45th series after Kira Major, which will be Kikai Sentai Senkaiger.
Senkaiger, yep.
45th anniversary series of Sentai, so I don't know if it's going to be like another Go Kaiger.
Oh, please.
Have heavy references to the past, or if it's going to be more subtle.
Well, there does, and thank you for bringing that up. Also, quick shout out. I don't know them personally, but I know them from the Forum Ranger board. Shout out to Dukemon. Dukemon is responsible for so many of these leaks. Well, not they don't leak it, but they're they're responsible for finding these stories and bringing this information to light. It does seem like the Zords, or like in effect, I believe the Rangers as well, are all going to be reflecting different show mecha, like different Sentai mecha. I know that like Dai Jujin, I think, is the name of the Jew Ranger Megazord. That's going to be Red Rangers. Like it's going to be themed to that particular Zord. You know what? Let me see if I can get that information pulled up, and then I can read it off to you, courtesy of Dukemon, of course. Bear with me just a moment, Sean.
Real quick.
Yeah.
From what I can tell, it was just a series of promotional pictures in a magazine of the two together.
Oh.
And so there was never actually a series team up.
That's honestly a missed opportunity.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that would have been great. If you could fill the space for a moment, yes, go for it.
Let me find... There, that's better. How am I supposed to stop?
Oh, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna go ahead and stall right now. I gotta say something right now.
Go for it.
Since we're talking about the future, they did it with the Shiba clan in Shinkenger. Kind of, a little bit. And I know we were talking about powerful women in Sentai. When do you feel, if you think they're ready, we're going to get a female lead? When do you think we will get a female lead Red Ranger? And I mean Power Rangers, because they've done it with black people. Has there been an Hispanic Red Ranger? Yes, I'm pretty sure there has.
I feel like they flirted. They've certainly flirted with this idea, especially in goodness gracious, I'm sorry, my brain is turned off.
Unless we're still talking about Shinkenger.
Shinkenger.
Yeah.
They flirted with that. Spoiler alert. That found its way into Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
They sort of flirted with it. They really did not give her, like, they didn't give her a fair shake in that show.
Right, and she was so cool. She, like, literally, when she saw a monster, one pull, the sword, done. And then everyone's like, damn, how's she so badass? And then she's like, look, I was supposed to be the leader before this guy over here. So, technically, you all work for me.
She was just doing her job.
Yeah.
And I know it wasn't, like, look, I'm not one of those people who, like, tries to cry, sexism every chance of the way. But there certainly was, like, an element of, oh, this new girl is just stepping in and is trying to boss us around.
Yep.
Maybe she shouldn't be so bossy.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't care for that at all. Like, I thought that was pretty crappy. I do have some of the information here. All this, once again, is courtesy of Dukemon. Take it with a grain of salt, as he always says, or as they always say. I do not know what their preferred pronouns are, so I apologize, Dukemon, if I got that wrong. It seems like there's some descriptions for the toys. The set of Red and Yellow Ranger robot mecha have two modes. The Red Ranger transforms into a T-Rex that is Daijujin-like in the way that it looks. The Yellow transforms into a lion, like the Gao King robot.
Nice.
And two of them combine to form Chao Ryujin, a Chao Ryujin-like robot named Zinkaio Juragawan. And I probably butchered that. Don't at me in the comments. There seems to be a set of Pink and Blue Ranger robot mecha. Once again, has two modes. Pink transforms into a dragon that's very Magicking-like, which, if that's true, that's really cool. Blue transforms into a dump truck like Boken Ranger, sorry. And the two of them form a robot that's named Zinkaio Vru Majin. Looks like they also have. Let's see. It looks like they have more information. It's supposed to. Well, but first and foremost, it's apparently going to be called Zenkaiger. The screenshot, and Sean, maybe you can pull the screenshot. Seems to have the silhouette of the red, and it looks very.
Oh yeah, that dude looks like he's from. I thought it was a Kamen Rider. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I thought it was. For a second, I thought it was like when the Kamen Rider did the whole Ranger thing.
Now they said that announcement. If you check out what's the website, Jefusion. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, Jefusion. There's a thing that says early January announcement. I don't know what date in January. And I don't know if we're gonna actually see what they look like, but
it's so weird because usually in December we get like glimpses of what the suits are going to be. I know, like, it almost like usually for me it happens like after my birthday in December, but it might not be till it might not be till January. I imagine.
Well, COVID, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Probably pushed things off a bit.
Virus ruins everything.
It really does.
Really does.
By a month.
Okay, so stuff to know, and I'm just reading off of what Dukeman provided in the forum. They are saying. Oh, let me get this. It looks like it's just more figures that they're talking about here. I'll have to look a little bit more, and then we can discuss probably more about this new show next session.
Yeah.
But there's a good bit of information to pour through here. I would recommend it if you guys are interested in Super Sentai, Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, anything Tokusatsu really. It's certainly Ranger centric, but I would 100% joining Ranger board. And it's a pretty decent place. I like it a lot. I like the people there. Give it a shot, and you can certainly pour over this information yourself.
Nice.
That said, do you guys have any final thoughts? Final things that you want to say, that you want to, put out in the ethos before we wrap things up? Because I feel like we're starting to run out of topics now.
I will say, for anyone who is interested in Go Ranger, the original Super Sentai, but watching 84 episodes might not be your thing, or you would prefer a different format to experience it, in April next year, Seven Seas Entertainment is releasing the entirety of the original Go Ranger manga from creator Shotaro Ishinomori in one big hardcover collection. So I'm pretty sure it's the original one, not the one that was done a bit later on that turned them all into teenagers. So if you want to experience some early manga, some early Sentai, that's probably a good way to get into it.
Nice. Sean, what you feeling down there, man? You wanna speak your final thoughts?
For anybody interested in getting into some Super Sentai, I wholly recommend Shinkanger.
Yes.
The series is 11 years old, but it is a very solid series. Peppy, fun intro song, a lot of character development. Or if you just want to jump straight into nostalgia that you have absolutely no clue about, there's always Go Kiger.
Yep.
Which, like I said, can be found at tracker.tvnihon.com.
Nice. Oh no, you first.
I was just gonna say, on top of that, I would also recommend Akiba Ranger. It's more grown up, and by grown up I mean it's more.
It's like an adult comedy, but not.
Yeah, it's an adult comedy, but it hits real hard.
Yep.
Like, only Akiba Ranger could make clip shows so impactful and meaningful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You trick you into watching the reruns.
Man, every time. Every time. That said, for me, the only thing I'm going to say really is that if you are new to Sentai in general or Tokusatsu, for me, the best thing that you can do is when you are going through all of these series and, you know, you may not be too much into the older stuff, but, you know, you still want to get into it in general and see if it interests you. Every different Sentai universe has a different, or every different Sentai team has a different
Sentai taste.
setup. Yeah, there's a different taste. One about cars, one about police versus, or you know, cops versus robbers. Which that is the, oh my god, such a good one. Set the Senkinger, samurai, ninja, whatever it is you're looking for. So find the one that you have something in interest of the most. You like cars? Hit that one first, even if it's Power Rangers. Find the one that interests you most. And then if you're still into it after that, that's when you got the bug. Then you want to jump in and go deeper into it. Because just watching things that we like may not be what you like. Because, yeah, we love it for what it is. But we all came into it in different ways. We all saw it growing up and we decided to stick with it. Maybe you didn't see it growing up. You're a whole different generation of person that's listening to this podcast. So find what works for you first. And if you love it, join us every 2 weeks for this podcast. Thank you.
All right. Zeb, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I think everything's pretty well covered. I'd carry on with what Geekiranger said. Find the Sentai for you. A lot of people want to get into long running comic book series and just want to know where to start. And the thing is, there's places you can recommend to start. There's no gold standard. There's no guarantee you're definitely going to love this. And all you can do is pick an episode, pick the start of a series, give it a go. If you enjoy the feel of it, keep going till the end or till it loses you, and then try something else. And just keep trying again and again, and you'll eventually stumble on the one you love. And eventually, once you find the one that connects to you, you tend to understand the whole entirety of the show more, and you can find even the ones you thought you couldn't find accessible much more accessible.
Yeah. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. First of all, thank you to all of these amazing people who joined us, and we hope that you do come back and you listen to our podcast. If you're interested, you know, feel free to like, subscribe, write in the comments. But with that said, I think I can play us out by saying Otaku Sentai Geekirangers out.